All right, everyone, this is technically two stories that are nonetheless strongly related in an ideological sense. There was a post made a few days ago about how there was a journalist, I guess, had gone to some diner or something, and they had a picture on the wall of some coal miners, actually. And they were covered in soot because they're coal miners. And this individual, sort of got a big dick about the situation, I guess, and was like, well, I'm offended by this. It should be taken down because even if this isn't your intent, that looks like blackface, and it's basically a segregation-era warning sign, no colored people, because you have this coal miner picture. I'm thinking, so there's a lot of historical stuff that simply you want to erase, in other words. You feel offended by it, so you want others not to be able to know about that side of history. What does it? Because basically, what it depicts is underprivileged white individuals. It's actually very funny because it's sort of like an inversion of the argument that the left makes. Here, it's sort of like maybe the Irish slave trade, the Irish slaves that came over to the Americas, and everyone likes to mince words and say, well, indentured servitude by people who didn't know that they were signing their own death warrant, that's not actually slavery. No, coffin ships weren't actually slave ships, even though they basically were. Yes, the person contracted so that the rest of their life they have to do exactly what this Anglo-Saxon person says because they're Irish and don't sort of know the culture. That's not slavery, though, because they signed a paper, so it's legal and above board and stuff. And you get into these weird little arguments, and people nitpick about terminology. It's linguistic propaganda. So, a picture of coal miners. It has nothing to do with blackface. I'm sure they would have rather have not had soot all over them. Because even back then, even though it wasn't maybe legally recognized, people knew that breathing coal dust wasn't good for you. It's like, oh, I'm going to work in this asbestos mine. Cough, cough. Yeah, it's probably not good. Yeah, they understood the basic concept of the risks involved. Coal mining being a very, not only dirty, but also dangerous job. By the way, Mike Rowe, are you going to lobby to have his shows pulled? Because I think he did... not only coal mining, but a bunch of other things on dirty jobs, of course. His face would be like smeared with all sorts of stuff. And you do soot and pig feces and other fluids at various times, blood. So if he goes into a slaughterhouse, if you got a picture of that, oh, it's red face, you're making fun of Native Americans or something. Now, it's not reality. Then, there's a separate story, right? Again, at first, I thought this was a joke. When I saw the post on 4chan and didn't have the link with it, I assumed that it was just a joke because it was so absurd that I'm like, well, maybe Vox would write something like this, but even this would be a stretch even for the New York Times. They declared that Mary Poppins is also racist and should ban Mary Poppins, I guess, the old version. Because at one point Mary Poppins has I guess the chimney sweep friend and gets soot on her face. And finds this amusing and I think puts more on actually. And people are thinking, well, that's like a racist dog whistle. No, it's fucking not. It's about this weird magical lady or some shit that watches some kids, isn't it? I don't know, it's been a while since I watched it. I was more of a fan of Bedknobs and Broomsticks, by the way, at the time. Sort of a vaguely similar style of movie. You should watch it. Pretty cool. Mary Poppins having soot everywhere, so she's going around with this chimney sweep and shit, doing chimney shit. There's soot everywhere. Yeah, you're probably going to get some on your face. You're sliding down someone's chimney. So is Santa Claus in blackface? So Santa Claus is racist now too. It's to the point, and I mean, some of the more sane people I think have understood this for years. There are a lot of people out there that just want to get attention. They're tabloid gossipy goofballs, and they'll declare anything under the sun to be racist by 10 degrees of separation. They've played this game before. Remember that hit piece that the Data Society or something put out there? And it's like you've got people like, Destiny and Bunty King and myself on the same list as people that are actually dedicated white nationalists simply because YouTubers talk to each other and debate one another. Oh, here's the nexus of the evil Nazis here, and I was actually one of the bigger names on that list because, I gave a bunch of interviews and talked to a bunch of people around that time period that they were doing the study, so I get to feature prominently in there. Like in the first paragraph, it's talking about the debate that I was part of, and I felt left out because it mentions Sargon and Spencer, and it doesn't mention poor little Styx, so I was feeling bad about myself. I was like, come on! Throw my username in there. What? You're too illiterate to type it out? You can't pronounce my username probably. That's probably the problem. They're like, oh, it'll take up too much space. My editor has to pay me per word or per letter or something like that. He'll be upset about it. Be really funny. Oh, sorry, I might have misgendered your editor. I'm sure that's probably sexist now too. I'm sure it's a strong, independent individual who doesn't need anyone else. No, coal miners are not racist. It's a historical picture from a fucking 100 years ago when yes, people crawled into coal mines and got soot all over them. It wasn't as mechanized as it is now. Hell, even now it's a dirty and potentially dangerous job. You go down into those mines. It doesn't matter if you're in a respiration mask if the mine collapses. Now, does it? Doesn't really matter. Oh, the coal seam just ignited. Well, fuck me. I don't think I'm going to survive very long. By the way, canary in the coal mine, interesting. Canary is actually able to detect the fact that there's no air and would start going crazy in their cage. It's like a literal statement, but now we use it as a sort of a metaphor. I'm sure that a lot of you know that, but for those that don't know, you should look up the term. It's pretty funny. Mary Poppins is racist. No, Mary Poppins didn't care what the race of the kids were. She just wanted to take them on like Miss Frizzle-style magical adventures or some shit. And it was really, didn't, what the fuck was the name of that song? The one that gets stuck in my head occasionally, Portobello Road. Was that from Mary Poppins? I think it was. There were a bunch of similar movies at the time. Like, was it Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? Which I'm sure they'll probably label that racist too. I think was around the same era. I think. Some of the Magnificent Men and their flying machines, sort of these funny movies that they had that are they're kind of dated. They're not as funny when you're older. No, this is not a sign of racism. This is a sign that yes, if you're a chimney sweeper, a coal miner, you might get soot on your face. It's a joke about the fact that they get messy on the job. Wow, that's horrible bigotry. That's about all. Peace out.